Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the Town Council. Since the Chesapeake and Ohio Historical Society is a town taxpayer, I wanted to give the council the opportunity, since I am here in town this week, to ask any questions that you all might have regarding the option contract that we have to purchase the turntable, which is up at the shop's property. Anybody have any questions about that? I know our attorney has been in touch with Mr. Davis last week, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I haven't heard from him since then.
Okay.
I'm waiting for further information to be able to go forward.
Best I can tell you at the moment is that he left his office in Newport News to go to Connecticut for the imminent arrival of a first grandson. And I think his legal brain has gone to sleep a little bit, for personal reasons. So, if there are any questions, I am here in town all week, glad to answer any questions that we have. I can tell you, just to give you an update, that we have received a quote from one crane company already. The second crane company was here on Thursday. I believe Earl took them over and they had an opportunity to measure and take pictures and so forth and so on. And I expect to hear from them tomorrow or the next day. And we have a third crane company in Richmond that we're still waiting to hear from. With regard to the property, in light of the comment that was on the first page in action item number 2, where the lessee requested minor language changes, which included holding the town harmless, the society is interested if there are answers to 2 questions, if I can pose the 2 questions. And I'm not looking for an immediate response. These are things that we're thinking about, that we'd like to find out about. And the first one is there an estimate on the cost to remediate any possible underground soil contamination at the property? Clearly, over 95 years, there is the possibility that the underground soil at the 16.5 acres at the roundhouse and the shops may have possibly been contaminated. And if that's the case, then our interest is, as a taxpayer, is in finding out if there's an estimate of the cost. Okay, I'm done. Can I ask my second question?
Very quickly.
Okay, second question is, who's responsible for the cleanup?
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
Just for the benefit of the public, would you tell us your plans for the turntable?
Yes, ma'am, I can certainly do that. We have been advised, I'm going to ask Mr. Davis for his assistance here. We've been advised by Mr. Houff that we do not need to move the turntable until the 30th of June. And I believe our attorney has discussed that with Mr. Davis.
I believe that Mr. Houff, in a conference that took place the other day, indicated to some of the town personnel that date would be June the 1st. So
June the 1st.
June the 1st.
Okay, this is new news to me.
So that needs to be addressed by your group.
Okay, so that's something that we need to work on. So the answer, Dale, is very simple. We applied for a VDOT grant with Darlene's cooperation and through the town for a grant to relocate the turntable from the roundhouse and the shops up to where we are. All of the logistics of that is all that's being worked on right at the moment. We don't expect to hear from VDOT until mid-June, Darlene. You think that's a fair assessment of the time frame? And so if we do the work in advance of the grant being awarded, then we can't be reimbursed out of the grant for the cost. The society is prepared to deal with that if in fact that's what happens. But what we're hoping for obviously is that we will get a favorable affirmative response to our grant application, and that we will have an executed, if it's decided favorably, that we will have an executed agreement that will fund the cost for relocating the turntable up to where we are. Because the project is so expensive, it is divided into 3 different phases. And this in part is because there's only a limited amount of money that we can apply to VDOT for each year. So phase 2A is acquiring the turntable from the town and relocating it up to where the Railway Heritage Center is located. Phase 2B, which is roughly $660,000, is building the new concrete pit that the turntable will go into so that it can be operational. Phase 2C, which is 2019, is the last portion of that where the tracks get connected to it, so that it can be, have train cars run on it and engines and so forth and so on, and all turned around. The whole project altogether is estimated by our engineers to be $1.8 million. We don't have $1.8 million sitting in the bank, so we have to fund this in phases through grants. And we intend to, I'll give you the great news, I guess. We intend to hook the turntable up to a solar array that we have already received a $109,000 grant for. And what I hope to be able to do is to have the first solar-powered steam locomotive turntable in the world in order to put Clifton Forge on the map from a science and technology education perspective. It is the 95-year-old technology of the turntable and what it used to do in terms of all kinds of machines and so forth and so on, coupled with new age, if you will, technology in the form of solar power. And we want to be able to teach children, how those things work together. We're very excited about that. We'll have an educational component that will deal all about that. And it is my hope, my sincere hope, that if we can accomplish this goal, that we will be able to draw students of all ages. I'm primarily interested in children, but students of all ages to come to Clifton Forge to see this. And I think that only says that there's good economic development possibilities out of all of that for the town, which is what I am really trying to do here.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for the extra time.